A week has passed since the legal tampering period kicked off, which was 2 days before the official start of the 2019 NFL league year and free agency. Teams have made most of their moves and now things have settled down. Though it's possible there could be trades or teams thinking about signing another team's restricted free agents, most of what will happen, up until the draft, is the signing of remaining veterans to low-cost deals. So how did the Denver Broncos do compared to everyone else? Let's look at the Broncos first, then the other 31 teams to see who approached free agency similarly and who took alternative routes, and whether or not those routes were ideal. We'll look at players that teams resigned that they signed from other teams, and that they lost when those players signed elsewhere, whether they were unrestricted or street free agents. Players acquired: QB Joe Flacco, trade, RT Jawan James, CB Kareem Jackson, CB Bryce Callahan. Players resigned: K Jeff Hoyerman, Int Zach Carr, LS Casey Kreider. Players lost: QB Case Keenum, trade, Tay Matt Lacosi, C Matt Parody, OL Billy Turner, Og Max Garcia, Ed Shaquille Barrett, CB Bradley Roby. Best move, signing Bryce Callahan. After the first wave of free agency ended, the Broncos signed the best available cornerback, one who knows Vic Fangio's schemes well. Riskiest move, signing Jawan James. Make no mistake, the Broncos overpaid for James and it could work against the Broncos. But if he stays healthy and excels under Mike Munchak, it will be worth the risk. Overall, the signing of James and the trade for Joe Flacco both turned heads, but will they pay off? It's also worth asking if the Broncos should have allowed Matt Parody to walk. A questionable move or two aside, though, it was a solid showing for John Elway. Grade B. Players acquired: RB Carlos Hyde, Edge Alex Okafor, S Tyrann Mathieu. Players resigned: none. Players lost: T Demetrius Harris, C Mitch Morse, Edge D Ford. Trade: CB Steven Nelson, OLB Justin Houston. Cut. Best move, signing Tyrann Mathieu. He's younger than Eric Berry and coming off a quality season after taking a one-year, prove-it deal from the Texans. Riskiest move, trading D Ford. After the Chiefs cut Justin Houston, they gave up their remaining top pass rusher for a draft pick in 2020. Overall, the Chiefs didn't do much in free agency, certainly not enough to look like they got better. On one hand, they've been doubted before and found ways to win the division. On that other hand, the Chiefs are thinking more about winning a Super Bowl, and it's hard to see how the moves they made got them closer to that. Grade C. Players acquired: QB Tyrod Taylor, LB Thomas Davis. Players resigned: LB Denzel Perryman, S Adrian Phillips. Players lost: WR Tyrell Williams, CB Jason Verrett. Best move, re-signing Denzel Perryman. Chargers kept one of their own before the off-ball linebacker market went crazy. Riskiest move, signing Thomas Davis. Though not a high-risk move, it's fair to ask how much Davis has left in the tank. Overall, the players the Chargers lost are ones they can get by without, and they put more emphasis on re-signing their own players. That's sometimes a smart thing to do. Grade B. Players acquired: WR Antonio Brown, trade, WR Tyrell Williams, OT Trenton Brown, S LaMarcus Joyner. Players resigned: NT Jonathan Hankins. Players lost: Kelechi Osemele. Trade: best move, re-signing Jonathan Hankins. Give the Raiders credit for recognizing how valuable Hankins was, though Broncos fans who had their eyes on him are no doubt wishing the Raiders had let him walk. Riskiest move, signing Trenton Brown. It's not the player so much as it is the coaching. It's hard to trust Tom Cable to get the most out of any offensive lineman, and the Raiders paid a lot of money to acquire Brown. Overall, the moves the Raiders made really aren't the issue. The issue is whether or not the coaching will be up to par. Grade B. Players acquired: RB Frank Gore, WR Cole Beasley, WR John Brown, T Tyler Boyd, OT Tyansika, C Mitch Morse, CB Kevin Johnson, KR Andre Roberts. Players resigned: none. Players lost: Tay Charles Clay. Best move, signing Tyansika. The Bills got Tyansika at a reasonable price and he'll provide an upgrade at right tackle. Riskiest move, signing Mitch Morse. The Bills made Morse one of the highest-paid centers in the NFL. Morse is a good player, but can he live up to the contract? Overall, the Bills spent the past couple of seasons purging players from the previous regime. They entered free agency with a lot of cap space, and their moves reflected that. Now the question is whether the remade roster will become a playoff contender. Grade B players acquired, QB Ryan Fitzpatrick, Dwayne Allen players resigned, WR Devontae Parker players lost, QB Ryan Tannehill, trade, RB Brandon Bolden, RB Frank Gore, WR Danny Amendola, OT Jawan James, OG Ted Larson, Edge Cameron Wake best move, signing Ryan Fitzpatrick. Though Fitzpatrick isn't a long-term solution, he'll be good enough for the short term. Riskiest move, re-signing Devontae Parker. All signs pointed to the Dolphins parting ways with the receiver, so it's interesting that they brought him back. Overall, the Dolphins sent a clear message that they are rebuilding. After years of acting like they were just a few players away from contending for the playoffs, it's actually good to see they realize the approach they need to take. Grade B players acquired, RB Le'Veon Bell, WR Jamison Crowder, WR Josh Bellamy, A Kelechi Osemele, trade, LBCJ Motley, CB Brian Poole players resigned, NT Steve McClendon, Edge Henry Anderson players lost, OG James Carpenter, KR Andre Roberts, K Jason Myers best move, trading for Kelechi Osemele. The Jets have had a lot of issues with the interior offensive line, but getting Osemele was a big step toward addressing that. Riskiest move, signing CJ Mosley. It's not the player as much as the money they gave him. Is he really worth being paid $17 million per year when off-ball linebacker isn't a premium position? Overall, while the Jets made some good moves, they did take a little risk with Le'Veon Bell, then a lot of risk with Mosley. The overpays for both make you wonder if Mike McConaughey's job is on the line this season. Grade C players acquired, RB Mark Ingram, S Earl Thomas players resigned, K Nick Boyle players lost, QB Joe Flacco, trade, WR John Brown, Edge Terrell Suggs, Edge Zadarius Smith, LBCJ Mosley, S Eric Weddle best move, signing Earl Thomas. Though he's 30 years old, he should still have plenty left in the tank. Riskiest move, letting Zadarius Smith walk. It's understandable that the Ravens weren't going to throw money at Mosley, but you would think they'd be more aggressive in retaining a promising pass rusher. Overall, Eric DeCosta didn't divert much from the strategy that Ozzie Newsome follows, except he didn't get as many of the team's own free agents extended. That's the only thing keeping the grade from being higher. Grade B players acquired, none. Players resigned, Tyler Eifert, CJ Uzoma, OT Bobby Hart, LB Preston Brown players lost, Tyler Boyd best move, re-signing CJ Uzoma. He showed promise when he stepped in as the starting tight end, so keeping him around was a good move. Riskiest move, re-signing Bobby Hart. He easily has the worst contract of any right tackle, even if he isn't the highest paid. Overall, the Bengals weren't active in free agency, which is par for the course. Though that's not always a bad thing, it is when you decide to give somebody like Hart a significant extension. Grade C players acquired, WR Odell Beckham Jr. Trade, Demetrius Harris, and T Sheldon Richardson, Edge Olivier Vernon, trade, players resigned, OT Greg Robinson players lost, QB Tyrod Taylor, WR Breshad Perriman, AUG Kevin Zeidler, trade, S Jabril Peppers, trade, best move, trading for Odell Beckham Jr. Getting a game-changing wide receiver is worth it, especially when you have a franchise quarterback who will take advantage. Riskiest move, re-signing Greg Robinson. The Browns are showing a lot of faith in an offensive tackle who has never lived up to his potential. Overall, the Browns went all in with many of their moves. They are clearly thinking about building a playoff contender now, but it makes sense when you consider that they got their franchise quarterback last year in the draft. And given how cheap his contract is, you need to take advantage while you can. Grade, A players acquired, WR Dante Moncrief, LB, S Mark Barron, CB Steven Nelson. Players resigned, OG Ramon Foster, NT Tyson Ilulu. Players lost, RB Le'Veon Bell, WR Antonio Brown. Trade, T Jesse James, OT Marcus Gilbert. Trade, Best move, trading Marcus Gilbert. Getting a draft pick for an injury-prone right tackle was a shrewd move. Riskiest move, trading Antonio Brown. The Steelers are eating a lot of dead money this season for moving on from a player who is still in his prime. Overall, dealing Brown so soon after restructuring his contract wasn't a good move, and it's hard to see how Dante Moncrief can replace him. Throw in the signing of Mark Barron, who hasn't been that good for most of his career, and it's hard to see how the Steelers got better. Grade, C players acquired, CB Bradley Roby, S Deshaun Gibson. Players resigned, Edge Jadeveon Clowney. Franchise tag, players lost, CB Kareem Jackson, CB Kevin Johnson, S Tyrann Mathieu. Best move, tagging Jadeveon Clowney. It's always good to keep top pass rushers in the fold, now the question is whether they can come to terms on an extension. Riskiest move, signing Bradley Roby. Though not a high-risk move, the Texans will be counting on Roby to take a big role on defense. Overall, though the Texans had a lot of cap space, even after tagging Clowney, they were quiet for most of free agency. Again, that's not always a bad thing, though it's worth asking if they should have done more while Deshaun Watson is still on his rookie contract. Grade, B players acquired, WR Devin Funchess. Players resigned, int Marcus Hunt, CB Pierre Desir. Players lost, none. Best move, re-signing Pierre Desir. Taking care of your own players, especially when they produce for you, is always a good thing. Riskiest move, signing Devin Funchess. It's a low-risk move, but can he even live up to the $10 million he is guaranteed to receiver? Overall, the Colts had the most cap space, and yet, they were quiet. Looks like they may be more concerned about using that space to extend some of their own, younger players. But if so, that's a good strategy. Grade, B players acquired, QB Ryan Tannehill. Trade, WR Adam Humphries, OG Roger Saffold, Edge Cameron Wake. Players resigned, S Kenny Vaccaro. Players lost, none. Best move, trading for Ryan Tannehill. The Titans do take some risk given Tannehill's injury history, but they have a backup plan in case Marcus Mariota doesn't work out. Riskiest move, signing Cameron Wake. Yes, he's coming off a good season, but he's older than both Brian Orakpo and Derek Morgan, who are still free agents. Overall, the Titans made a few notable moves that gave them modest upgrades. They play in a tough division, so it's not a given these moves will get them back to the playoffs. Grade, B players acquired, Tay Charles Clay, OT Marcus Gilbert. Trade, OG Max Garcia, OG JR. Sweezy, Edge Terrell Suggs, LB Jordan Hicks, CB Robert Alford. Players resigned, none. Players lost, OG Mikey Apati, LB, S Deion Buchanan, S Antoine Bethia. Best move, signing Jordan Hicks. The Cardinals managed to get Hicks for a reasonable price, considering how crazy other teams were in throwing money at off-ball linebackers. Riskiest move, signing Robert Alford. He's coming off a bad season and isn't getting any younger. It's hard to see how he'll improve the team. Overall, the Cardinals acquired 3 new offensive linemen, so they understand what's the one area that needed the most attention. Now the question is whether those players acquired will help get them back on track. Grade, B players acquired, QB Blake Bortles, S Eric Weddle. Players resigned, Edge Dante Fowler. Players lost, OG Roger Saffold, LB, S Mark Barron, S LaMarcus Joyner. Best move, signing Eric Weddle. The veteran should still have enough left in the tank to contribute. Riskiest move, letting Roger Saffold walk. Of all the free agents the Rams lost, Saffold is the one whose departure may hurt the most. Overall, the Rams didn't have much cap space for free agency but did well with what they could. But the good thing was that they didn't panic after the Super Bowl loss. Give them credit for not going for broke in free agency when they didn't have to. Grade B players acquired: RB Tevin Coleman, WR Jordan Matthews, Edge D Ford. Trade LB Quan Alexander, CB Jason Verrett. Players resigned: OG Mike Person, S Jimmy Ward, K Robbie Gould. Franchise tag: players lost, none. Bassett move, trading for and extending D Ford. Not only did they not give up much in trade to get the edge rusher, they signed him to a contract that allows them to get out of it after 1 year if they choose. Riskiest move, signing Quan Alexander. Again, it's not the player, it's the money he received. Overall, were it not for the Alexander contract, the Niners would get a higher grade. They did well for the most part in finding value, and the contract for Ford is a great deal for them. Grade B players acquired: OG Mikey Apati, K Jason Myers. Players resigned: OL DJ Fluker, Edge Frank Clark. Franchise tag: LBKJ Right, LB Michael Kendricks. Players lost: RB Mike Davis, OG JR Sweezy, CB Justin Coleman, S Earl Thomas. Best move, re-signing KJ Right. Yes, as a Broncos fan, I would have loved for him to come to Denver. But the Seahawks did well in keeping one of their own, even in an off-ball linebacker market that got crazy at times. Riskiest move, signing Mikey Apati. Can he be trusted to stay healthy? Overall, the Seahawks focused more on taking care of their own than spending a lot of money on big-name free agents from other teams. As I've said before, that is often a solid strategy. Grade B players acquired: Jason Witten, came out of retirement. Players resigned: FB Jamize Olawale, WR Tavon Austin, Edge DeMarcus Lawrence. Franchise tag: players lost: WR Cole Beasley, Jeff Swain. Best move, letting Cole Beasley walk. The Cowboys know they need to save their money for other players. It wasn't a question of talent when it came to Beasley, it was a question of them recognizing a player they couldn't overpay while still expecting to keep other players. Riskiest move, tagging DeMarcus Lawrence for the second straight season. His asking price just went up. Will the Cowboys be able to get a deal done? Overall, the tagging of Lawrence for the second straight year really carries a lot of risk, especially with Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper all set to become candidates for extensions. That's a lot of money to commit. Something has to give. Grade C players acquired: WR Golden Tate, OG Kevin Zeitler. Trade S Jabril Peppers. Trade S Antoine Bethia. Players resigned: OG Spencer Pulley. Players lost: WR Odell Beckham Jr. Trade OG Jamin Brown, Edge Oliver Vernon. Trade best move, trading for Kevin Zeitler. The Giants have a lot of work to do to improve the offensive line, and acquiring Zeitler helps. Riskiest move, trading away Odell Beckham Jr. Why in the world would you give up your star receiver just a few months after extending him, especially when you will likely draft a quarterback who you'll have on a rookie deal for a few seasons? Overall, while the Giants' free agency wasn't that bad, the team made several head-scratching moves that make it hard to figure out exactly what Dave Gettleman's long-term plan is. The acquisition of Zeitler is the only move that keeps this grade from being the lowest it can go. Grade D players acquired: QB Case Keenum. Trade CB Dominique Rodgers Cromartie, S Landon Collins. Players resigned: RB Adrian Peterson. Players lost: WR Jamison Crowder, OT Tyensika, Edge Preston Smith, S Haha Clinton Dix. Best move, trading for Case Keenum. The Redskins needed a quarterback who can at least be a solid starter. Keenum isn't a top guy, but he'll at least stabilize the position. Riskiest move, signing Landon Collins. Once again, it's not about the player, but the lofty contract he signed. Overall, it was tough for Washington to be active in free agency, given they have to ride out the massive cap hits from Alex Smith, who may never take another NFL snap. But I still wonder why they would go all in on Collins. Grade C players acquired: RB Mike Davis, WR Cordero Patterson, OG Ted Larson, S Haha Clinton Dix. Players resigned: Taben Broniker, OT Bobby Massey. Players lost: WR Josh Bellamy, CB Bryce Callahan, S Adrian Amos. Best move, signing Haha Clinton Dix. While other teams were paying a lot of money for safeties, the Bears got him on a one-year, prove-it deal. Riskiest move, letting Adrian Amos walk. On the other hand, the Bears let a promising young player hit the open market and he took a contract that was certainly reasonable. Overall, the Bears were tight on cap space, so they couldn't make a splash. But they did a decent job finding value where they could. Grade B players acquired: WR Danny Amendola, Tay Jesse James, Edge Trey Flowers, CB Justin Coleman. Players resigned, RB Zach Zenner. Players lost, none. Facet move, signing Jesse James. The Lions got him at a reasonable price and he'll get the chance to prove he can be a starting tight end. Riskiest move, signing Trey Flowers. The Lions paid a high price to get him, and while he's a good player, will he produce enough to live up to the deal? Overall, the Lions hit free agency quickly, then pulled out just as quickly. We'll see if the risks they took will pay off. Grade B players acquired: OL Billy Turner, Edge Zadarius Smith, Edge Preston Smith, S Adrian Amos. Players resigned, none. Players lost, none. Facet move, signing Adrian Amos. The Packers landed one of the better safeties available, for a much more reasonable deal than what Landon Collins received. Riskiest move, signing Billy Turner. Though I liked Turner and wanted him to stay with the Broncos, the deal he got was more than I would have paid. Overall, Brian Gutekunst continues to follow a different path from his predecessor with his high activity in free agency. Most of his moves were good, though Turner is a risky signing. Grade B players acquired: none. Players resigned: NT Shemar Stephen, LB Anthony Barr. Players lost: RB Latavius Murray, and Sheldon Richardson. Facet move, letting Latavius Murray walk. While he played well when Dalvin Cook was out of the lineup, the Vikings couldn't overpay to keep him. Riskiest move, re-signing Anthony Barr. Again, the player isn't the question, it's how much money the Vikings committed to him. Overall, Minnesota has little cap space left, meaning little activity from them. The Vikings need to draft well if they expect to show improvement from 2018. Grade C players acquired: C Matt Parody. Players resigned, OT Darrell Williams. Players lost, WR Devin Funchess, LB Thomas Davis. Best move, signing Matt Parody. I wish Parody well, he got a reasonable deal and will provide experience the Panthers need at center with Ryan Khalil's retirement. Riskiest move, re-signing Darrell Williams. A low-risk move, but the question is whether he can bounce back from injury. Overall, the Panthers were quiet in free agency, but say it with me now, that's not always a bad thing. Grade B players acquired: RB Latavius Murray, and Malcolm Brown. Players resigned, QB Teddy Bridgewater, K Willets. Players lost: RB Mark Ingram, C Max Unger, retired, Edge Alex Okafor. Best move, re-signing Teddy Bridgewater. He believes he has the chance to take over when Drew Brees retires. We'll see if the Saints give him that opportunity down the road. Riskiest move, losing Max Unger. I can't blame either the Saints or Unger for this, but now the Saints have a position to fill that they didn't expect to. Overall, I'm usually not a fan of how the Saints approach free agency. This time around, though, they were smarter about it. Give Mickey Loomis credit for doing so. Grade A.